stories of Ikigai. Are you good at what you do? Do you love what you're doing? Are you serving a need? And do you feel rewarded? In this podcast, you'll hear how others discover their Ikigai with the hope that it'll help you discover yours. Hi, everyone. This is Stories of Ikigai, and I'm your host, Mika Domingo. I'm excited to have on the show today Ms. Jyoti Ruprell. Ms. Ruprell has been licensed to practice law in the state of California since 2000. Prior to opening the law offices of Jyoti Ruprell in 2005, she worked as an attorney with reputable law firms in San Francisco, specializing in the U.S. immigration law and nationality law. Her extensive past experience has grown her firm to specialize in immigration and family law. Her immigration law practice includes deportation defense, asylum, appeals, investment visa, employment, and family based green cards. Ms. Ruprell earned her BA in philosophy with honors from Ramnarain Ruia College, Bombay, India. She received her bachelor's degree in law from the Government Law College and earned her master's in law from Bombay University. While in India, she practiced law as a criminal defense attorney for a highly reputable firm and former law minister, Mr. Ram Jethmalani. Ms. Ruprell has successfully represented individuals before the Department of Homeland Security, U.S. immigration courts, Board of Immigration of Appeals, and family law courts in the Bay Area. She's also an active member of the American Immigration Lawyers Association. She is fluent in Hindi, Urdu, Punjabi, Sindhi, Gujarati, and Marathi languages. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you, Mika. At the outset, I would like to thank you for this opportunity, to talk about my life and my profession on this show.
Thank you so much. And I know a little bit about you and your family story, very inspiring story from Bombay, but our listeners don't know you. So, will you please tell us about the significant event in Bombay that ultimately inspired you to pursue a career in law?
Well, actually, my mother, she was the one who motivated me to become a lawyer back in India. My father, he had passed away when I was 17 years old. And, he was living in another state in India with his brother. And with his older brother, he was living there and he passed away there. And my father's older brother, he got him to sign this will and wanted to have the entire property to himself. So all our property should go to my uncles, uh, you know. So what happened was, however, luckily we were very fortunate that our house it belonged to my mother's name. So we had a place to live. But, our bank accounts were all frozen. So I had to file a caveat in court, so that my uncle does not misuse our property. But irrespective, long story short, my mother had to, at the age of, she was in her mid 40s when she, started her career as a fashion designer. And here I was pursuing law. She encouraged me to pursue law, and I was pursuing law. And in the meantime, I was tutoring young kids, so that I can, you know, have some extra money, to pay for my fees and everything. So, yeah, so, the property that we were fighting for, we did not get anything out of it, but we made much more than we had already lost. So my mother, she earned a fashion designing course. She attended a fashion designing diploma. She got it, and then I had my law career, and both my younger brothers, they are very successful entrepreneurs. So so that's where, and my mother, she had to go to court for 4 years
Wow, that's
fight for the property. And um, what happened was she started having an acute pain on her in her feet, while going to courts up and down.
oh no.
And that I realized that pain when I became a lawyer in the United States and I was fighting for my clients. I got that shooting pain on my feet. I
Oh.
just felt that my mother was doing it for me and my brothers, for her family, whereas I'm doing it for others. So that was the difference.
She
So
was such an inspiration to you and your siblings. And when you came here, even though you had already practiced law in both in India, right? You were also had received both your bachelor's and your master's degree in law from Bombay University. And when you came to America, of course, you had to take the bar exam, which of course you were able to pass successfully. And tell us about what that was like, how you decided uh, on your particular practice area.
well, I took the bar exam, California bar exam, and I had I was thinking whether I can pursue my criminal law practice here. But, when I was taking the California bar exam, I was pregnant with my second child. And, I said, it's now or never. Like before the baby is born, I better pass the bar. Yeah. Because I, the California bar, I had to study so much uh, that I had a break of 7 years on my studies. And I was in Dubai for 3 years, and in Dubai a woman cannot appear in court, so I did not practice law in Dubai.
Mhm.
So when I came here in the US, I wanted to really pursue my law profession. And here I had to take the bar. And you know my daughter was born in March 2001, and I passed the California bar in November 2000. So just few my
Wow.
child was born, yeah, I could pass the bar. And I did not want to give it up because I feel that I had a high risk pregnancy though. And I felt that if I take the bar, I'm fighting for something for myself. If I fight for myself, my child will fight for herself too. So I was very motivated to take the bar and have a healthy baby at the same time.
Wow, congratulations. You're definitely very successful and you were able to work with these firms in San Francisco. And were those in immigration law or did you initially work in criminal defense?
No, I started my career in immigration law because I got jobs in immigration law firms. So I started my career there, and then I liked practicing immigration law, and I continued my career practicing immigration law. Later on, I also did family law because many Indian communities, they were ending up with divorces and they wanted Indian attorneys. So I also branched out my practice in family law.
And so, as far as your work, I know you had mentioned when we talked earlier, working with, of course, immigrants and also working on cases that involve violence against women, so violence against women's acts. Can you tell us a little bit about that, your experience there?
Yeah, that's very interesting. When I started my practice in 2000 over here in the United States, in California, I actually, a legal outreach pro bono organization, they approached me and they were asking if we would like to spend our volunteer time taking VAWA cases. VAWA stands for Violence Against Women's Act. And so I started with VAWA cases. And actually, our current president, Joe Biden, he was the one who chaired the U.S. Senate Judiciary Committee, and he first proposed working on the bill because he was concerned about national attitudes about violence against women, and was especially appalled that people didn't take marital rape seriously. He introduced the act in 1990 and thus helped to return the issue of violence against women to the national stage. And Biden himself described the bill as his proudest legislative accomplishment, that it had to change cultural norms. So what used to happen was, a woman who was coming to the United States, getting married to a US spouse, and when a spouse was abusive to her, she had no recourse but to wait till she gets her green card or to move back to her home country. So the spouse would threaten that we will not file your green card, we will have you deported, this and that,
Mhm.
and plus the physical and mental abuse that she had to endure. So this law, when this was enacted, many women, they did not have to actually depend on the man to get them the green card, the abusive spouse to get them the green card, but the USCIS, that is the United States Immigration and Citizenship Services, they would get them a green card based on the VAWA petition application. You know. So, and what I liked about this country, I love the people over here, and the laws were enacted because of some kind of empathy.
Mhm.
Means a person like Biden and other people who were in this um, project together, they had empathy towards these women towards battered spouses. So it really attracted me more, and then I really liked working. I started working from VAWA cases, then I got jobs and I took over other cases.
What an amazing track record to have been able to work with on those cases, and how you've seen the impact of that work on women, and have provided. You've been instrumental in providing better life for them. It's truly a gift. As far as also your work in immigration and family law courts, I would imagine it's very challenging, but it's also rewarding. Can you tell us about what you love most about your practice areas?
um, I like it when I have a very tough case and it gets granted. It may take some time, but it's finally we achieve victory out of that. So there was one case this person, he moved to the United States in 1991, and he was seeking political asylum. His case came up for hearing in 2019 or something, means almost after 30 years. So when he came to the United States, he must be in his 40. Today he's 75 years old. So in all these years, he did not visit his family, he did not visit his children, two kids. He did not see his wife, and they could not come here to the United States because the spouse, the husband he was actually, seeking asylum. So the wife and kids, they did not get a visa to come and see him. And after 30 years, like almost 30 years, he got asylum granted in court. So today he's getting his green card, and we filed petition for his wife and kids to come here. And, you know, it will be like a family reunification after 30 years. So I feel very happy about this.
Congratulations. That's a long time, and he missed a lot of those early years of development with his children. That must have been so difficult. And as you went through that process, how did that feel?
Somewhere I was very touchy about this case, in the sense, if I would have lost this case, I don't know how would I, means I would have, of course gotten back to action, but at the same time, it would have been taken a toll on me. So for me to win this case was very important, because I know what it is to be away from your family, away from your loved ones. And I could be in his shoes and I could have that empathy of what he is going through and how desperately he wants to be with his family.
And so that must be so fulfilling and rewarding, and just reminds you of the importance of the work that you do, and how that pathway from being having that experience in Bombay with your family and your mom inspiring you, encouraging you to pursue law, it must be so amazing to look at your work product and what kinds of things you've done for other families and confirm that this was the right path for you. This is your ikigai. This is what you should be doing.
Yeah.
And so as far as your body of work, can you point to what you consider your most significant work so far? I know there's a lot more that's coming, but what is your, you did mention the one with the family reunification, and that's pretty significant. But is there, one that you would like to share with our listeners?
Yes, I just wanted to say when I started my practice initially, back in Bombay, my boss, he had to attend to his sick wife, so he was not in office that day. And there was an injunction that I had to take because my client was a restaurant, they were restaurant owners, and I think something happened that they had to stop work or something, for someone else's restaurant. So it so happened that, I knew that if I don't get this injunction today, uh, the work will go on and the restaurant, people will suffer a lot. So I had to stop the work. And in order to that, I had to go to the High Court to take injunction. So I was a junior attorney back then. And what happened was I had um, approached some senior attorneys, whom our law firms were friends with. And one of them told me, it's my lunchtime, I cannot
Wow.
do you. Yeah. So, and I was hungry, thirsty. I did not eat or drink, and I did not even feel hungry or thirsty. But you know what? No matter what, so one of my colleagues, he told me, okay, let's do it, Jyoti, you can do it, you know. So I went, approached the High Court, and I was in front of the judge. And all these attorneys whom I approached, they were sitting beside me. And I asked the judge for this injunction, that we need this injunction very badly. And the judge asked me, what are the prayers? Like, it was like a relief, So I memorized the facts very well before I went to the court, So I told the judge everything. I told the judge. And this is my first case, a junior attorney, who has no experience in high court. And the judge granted me injunction. And when I came back to office, my boss came after 2 days, my senior employer, he came after 2 days, and he told me, how did you get this injunction? I did not know the answer. But you know how I got this injunction? Because I had empathy for my restaurant client, who owns the restaurant.
Right.
So, yeah, because only if you're passionate towards your work, you can think of the best interest of your client, you can do the impossible. So that was my start of my career, and I just from there I feel every case is very important. We have to be very passionate about what we are doing, and of course there should be compassion and empathy, because without that a person will not understand what we are saying, because they will not trust us. If we have no empathy, we will not.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And trust is the most important factor. And when you see somebody and your focus is on how to help them and not just, necessarily to win the case, but really understanding what the experience is like for them. And you said earlier with one of your cases, you don't know what you would have done if you didn't get it granted, but you knew you had to absolutely get it granted for your client. And that's having the right mindset, having the right heart, and focusing on the clients first, doing what is best for them, what is in their best interest. That makes you so successful is that your heart is at the right place. You have empathy. And that's why you keep continue to help so many families. And it's wonderful to know what your ikigai is. You didn't have to try two or three different careers to find what that was, what you had to do, and because of that, you had more time focusing on helping others. Is there anything you'd like to share with our audience about the importance of living according to your purpose?
I just feel, important thing for us is that we should be a very good human being. Being a good human being requires all kinds of goodness in you, like having patience, not having any grudges against anyone, not having any kind of discrimination, not discriminating anyone based on their gender, color, class, anything. Because there is always a law of cause and effect. If I'm discriminating someone based on gender, class, or class, what
Absolutely.
happens is I will be discriminated, and that will be the consequences, that I will be discriminated by my own community, by my own people, and I won't even know about it. So when we are making a cause, of being a good human being, so having compassion, having empathy, being trusted, not having anger. Like anger will come, but if we can channelize it to passion, and sometimes, yes, I have to really be calm, because there are sometimes we all have 24 hours and we don't have more than that.
Right.
you know you know Keeping yourself calm down, and at the same time enjoying, having gratitude to what you have, so that really brings a lot. But mainly cause and effect, and being a good human being. So if I make a good cause, the effects is guaranteed to be the best.
Oh, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And do you think you'd like to invite our listeners to get to know you better if there's an opportunity for you to help them in family law and immigration cases? What is the best way to contact you?
They can go to my website www.jyotilaw.com. It is JYOTILAW.com. And my email is very simple, jyoti@jyotilaw.com. So my name is JYOTI, jyoti@jyotilaw.com. And I can be reached even on my phone. It is 510-796-1157.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. It's been so awesome speaking with you, and thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you so much, Mika.
Thank you for listening. Stories of Ikigai is brought to you by MS Domingo Law Group.